Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I've been asked for a while now to make my daughter a long skirt, which I've been putting off for a while now, and I finally got into it. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a simple box pleat skirt, or I should probably say an inverted pleat skirt if I have to be more precise with the terminology. Inverted pleats are those pleats that fold to the inside, and I'm going to show you how to calculate the amount of fabric you're going to need and how to sew the skirt itself, so keep on watching.
I believe figuring out pleats is not that complicated as it seems, and I'll try to explain them here. But if you would rather use a pattern, I have one in girls sizes that is free for my email subscribers. I'll link to it in the description of this video. Since you are probably here to learn how to make the pleats yourself, let's go straight to it. Now, when we say box pleats, it's not necessarily done the way I did it here. Mine look exactly the same on the face side as well as the wrong side. This is so because I've intentionally used more fabric to make the skirt fuller. The math I'm using to calculate the right amount of fabric is really simple. Depending on the width of pleats and how they are folded, there might be different ways to calculate the amount of fabric needed. Here's how I've calculated the fabric consumption for this skirt. I'm only going to use two measurements. One is the length and the other one is the circumference of the waist or lower on the hips where you want the box pleats to sit. I've measured the high hips because I'm planning on an extended knit waistband, and this is where the inverted pleats need to fit. My measurement is 33 inches or 84 centimeters. I'm going to use my measurements to illustrate the process. Here are the calculations in inches. The high hips measured 33 inches. I want my pleats to be 2 inch deep and I want there to be 8 pleats in total. 3 at the front, 3 at the back and 1 on each side. I know that in each pleat, because of the way fabric is folded, 4 times the size of the pleat disappear into the folds. And our pleats are 2 inches wide. 2 inches here and 2 here, and then once again 2 inches here and 2 here. So we need to calculate 4 times by 2 inches, which equals 8. And then we need to multiply these 8 inches by 8, which is the number of pleats we want. This gives us 64 inches of additional fabric. 64 inches for the pleats plus our waist circumference, which is 33, gives us a total of 97 inches of fabric. This means that we will have to have a tube of fabric that is 97 inches wide and as long as we want the skirt to be. Because there is usually no fabric at that width, we would need to join two rectangles 48.5 inches each, plus seam allowance for the side seams. Join the front and the back with side seams to make one whole piece of fabric. Now let's start folding the pleats. To mark the pleats, you can use chalk or clips to cut small marks. I'm going to use these large pins so that it's easier to show on camera. I'm going to begin by putting a mark every 2 inches, or if you work in centimeters, that would be 5. This is going to help me fold the pleats later. Once I've marked enough of the fabric, I'm going to start folding the pleats. I want the fold of my first pleat to point to the side seam and each next one to point in the opposite direction. I'm using the first pin as a center mark for the fold and fold the fabric at the second pin. And then I'm going to use another pin to fix the folded pleat in place. For the next fold, I'm starting at the second pin again, but this time folding in the opposite direction, matching at the marks, and fix the pleat with another pin. If we look at the wrong side, we're going to see that the box pleats look exactly the same as on the face side. I'm going to continue with the rest of the skirt. To save some time and effort, I'm marking every 4 inches instead of 2 and skip the center fold mark. It doesn't really matter which way you are going to do it, what matters at the end is to fold the pleats precisely. The center fold mark helps with that a bit. When folding the pleats, make sure to keep the fabric straight and nicely folded, because the way you shape the pleats now is how they are going to look when the skirt is done. I'm going to remove all excessive pins and keep only those that fix the pleats in place. If you are using chalk or clippers to mark the fabric, you are going to skip this step. If I've measured and folded precisely, my last pleat will match the first one. I'm double checking myself and measure if my pleated skirt matches my lower hip circumference, which it does, so I'm going to move on. The next step is to fix the pleats in place with a seam. I'm sewing close to the edge because I want the seam to hide in the seam allowance later. It's sort of a basting stitch that I don't want to show when the skirt is done. The way I fix the pleats now is the way they are going to look at the end, so I'm very careful to keep them nice and straight, and I fix them here and there as I go. Now that my pleated skirt is done, I'm going to move to the waistband. I'm choosing to add a knit waistband because it's a child's skirt and I'm mostly interested in comfort. And I also will get to skip adding a zipper. For the knit waistband, I cut a rectangle that is twice the height and approximately 3 inches shorter in width. I'm sewing both sides vertically, face sides together. I'm using the zigzag seam because it tolerates the stretching better. I fold the waistband in half, wrong sides together, and I'm ready to attach it to the skirt. But before that, I'm going to join the free ends together. Knitted fabric tends to roll at the edges when stretched, and I'm going to stretch it in order to attach it to the skirt. This seam will help align both waistband layers. I'm going to put the waistband inside the skirt, face sides together and aligned at the side seam. I'm going to lock the waistband to the skirt with a seam at least 1 inch long. This way the fabric is not going to get pulled out of the machine when I stretch the waistband to match the skirt. I match the center of the skirt with the center of the waistband and stretch to sew them together. This way the waistband will align evenly to the skirt. If you prefer, use pins to fix both details together before sewing. What's left to be done is to hem the skirt. I prefer to make a wider hem. First, I'm going to mark how long I want the skirt when done. Then I'm going to fold the hem allowance in up to the mark and then fold it once again. Put a pin here and continue on small sections with the rest of the hem. I'll link to a video on how to make this double fold hem on pants in the description. Sew the hem on the wrong side, close to the edge of the fold. And here's my finished skirt. I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to give it the thumbs up and subscribe. Also, click on the notification bell because in the next video I'm going to show you my favorite way to sew pillowcases. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate you all very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!